Welcome to another random video by your friend, Matthew. Well, every day when I get home from work in the morning, I have kind of a weird work schedule right now where I work in the morning, I have a long break in the afternoon, and then I work for a few more hours in the early evening. And during that break, I get home and think, well, why not make a video? So, this is my third day in a row making a video like this. Today I want to talk about a beloved topic that I have been thinking about for a long time. And that topic is emptiness and interdependence. All the topics that I'm talking about on these, my thoughts on spirituality and philosophy series, all of these ideas, concepts, all of them are going to appear in some capacity in the book that I'm writing. And so this topic will be there for sure a lot in that book. So in Buddhism, emptiness is a very central truth in Buddhism. Central teaching. Let's say teaching. Teaching is such a better word than these other words I'm using. Emptiness is a central teaching in Buddhism. Well, what does emptiness mean? What does emptiness mean? You know, in a non-Buddhist Western context, most people think of emptiness as a negative thing. You know, I feel empty. You know, meaning lifeless or bored or meaningless, hollow, you know, emptiness and the word empty often do not have positive connotations in non-Buddhist contexts. However, in a Buddhist context, it's not a negative thing. As a way of talking about emptiness, I guess it's more useful to talk about interdependence first. So, what is interdependence? And don't worry, I will for sure get back to emptiness. What is interdependence? What is interdependence? Well, interdependence means that everything that exists is not independent. It doesn't exist in complete isolation. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists only in relationship to the countless other things that allow it to exist. Everything is interdependently connected. Everything exists in an interdependent web. So, if we just imagine how many countless factors allow this bottle to exist at all, and then to exist in my hand right now on this video, then we can start to realize and feel how everything is interdependently connected. So, I suppose we could relate this to, it's definitely not synonymous with this, but like one component of this would be something similar to the butterfly effect, right? Where one flap of a butterfly's wings can cause, a tornado on the other side of the world or something like that, right? Which is just an allegory or whatever to capture that the seemingly smallest things, even if those tiny things were different, everything else would be different. So it's all it's this whole web or matrix of interdependent arising and happening. So if everything is interdependent, which it's hard to argue with that, right? Really, at the end of the day, I mean, can you argue? Can you argue against the notion that everything is interdependent? All of the words coming out of my mouth, I didn't come up with these words. There are an infinite number of examples and ways to highlight the reality of interdependence, right? So reflect on that for yourself. Possibly it just clicks and you're like, yeah, for sure. And if it doesn't, reflect on it for yourself and see what you find. So let's just take the reality of interdependence as the groundwork for emptiness, right? So if everything is interdependently connected, therefore nothing, as I said, no single thing or no individual human. Let's shift to human beings, right? If everything is interdependent, then no single human being has his or her or their independent identity, independent existence. Their existence and their identity is interdependent with an infinite number of factors, really. Think back to the grandparents, the earliest possible human ancestors, and then all of the living things that allowed those human ancestors to even exist in the first place, and all of the factors, longer ago than 4.5 billion years ago, all of those conditions and factors that over time manifested planet Earth. I mean, it's mind-bending how much we could consider, how many things that we can consider are interdependently connected, right? But on a human level, so since everything's interdependent, every person's existence and identity is interdependent and not independent, not separate, not some separate unit, right? It's just, again, that too seems hard to disagree with. It's just a fact. So the way that emptiness is often described in Buddhism is emptiness is the fact that every single thing and every person is empty of that separate existence, empty of that. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. Empty of that separate existence or separate identity. That's what emptiness is. There's no. Everything is empty of separateness. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think interdependence and emptiness are definitely, two of the most central teachings in Buddhism, and definitely two of the teachings in Buddhism that have remained with me very persistently since around 2008 or 2007, when I first started dipping my nose into Buddhism. So I think that's where I'm going to stop for now. There are a million directions I could go with that, but I'm going to try to keep this one under 10 minutes. And, as well, there's 10 minutes right there. As a last note, though, I just want to say that, because of the teaching of interdependence and emptiness, that is why Buddha supposedly, strayed away from more traditional, like Vedic teachings of Atman. And because Atman in the Vedic teachings is kind of this eternal capital S self or something. And that's a big topic that I'll get into in another video, but I just wanted to mention that because it is related, and that's one of the big differences and the big shifts that happen in Buddhism coming from the Vedic tradition was that Buddha didn't believe that there was any core, unchanging self, because everything was empty of a separate self. So, food for thought. Until next time, peace, love, and harmony.